Anchors up, sails at full. Welcome to the Sloopcast. How are you doing today, Kyle?
Doing it. I guess Jared wants to get on a roll here. That was quick.
Was it quick?
That was very quick here.
I suppose it was. Maybe I should slow down. It was not. We're still in the preseason. We're still very preseason-y in our collegiate chaos. Well, it's a reflection of the reality, of course, but we do have four. We do have 4 top 25 teams fall. Only one of them would qualify, or one of them wouldn't qualify as chaos, but the other 3 will count as chaos. We'll count those as chaos, I suppose.
Yeah. So we'll start from the biggest game here, Jared. Alabama losing at home to Texas. Jared, I know you really want to say it. You really, really want to say it, Jared.
Yeah. Texas is back. Y'all, Texas is back. This is, and I want to, and let me caveat it a bit. For how long? I don't really like Oklahoma. And I don't know who else in the Big 12 is going to challenge them. So they just kind of have to not screw up from here on out. Which for a Sarkisian team, that can be difficult. So they're going to have to stay focused. And I think they have a pretty clear shot to the playoff from here, quite frankly. Now I do want to Kyle's throwing the schedule in here. Let's take a look. Rice, Bama already won. Wyoming, terrible. Baylor, terrible. Kansas, terrible. Oklahoma, okay. I mean, you can, okay. Houston, not good. BYU is not as good as they were last year. Kansas State, we'll see. I don't know if I'm bought in on Kansas State yet. TCU is not the same TCU from last year. Iowa State's terrible. Texas Tech. Texas Tech had a good showing this week, didn't they? Against Oregon. I don't know if that's more of a knock on Oregon than it is. It more of a knock on Oregon than it is a benefit or a compliment for Texas Tech. We'll see.
We'll see though.
We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, you go to Alabama's place here and you win by 10, 34-24 here. And yeah, Texas made Alabama at times look silly here. I know
especially
on the offensive line there. I know we talked just a little bit about it in our previous episode. But yeah, Alabama's struggling very similar to kind of like Ohio State's offense. The offensive line is struggling here. The quarterback play is okay. They've had better quarterbacks in the past here, but I like Ohio State's quarterback better than Alabama's though. So I think
100%
edge to Ohio State in that one though. But Alabama's offensive line is not where it needs to be, and there's really no excuse for Alabama because they recruit much better on the offensive line than Ohio State has.
Ohio State tried to get those 2 offensive tackles that Bama started last night and lost. They're both 5-star guys. That being said, and we talked about this briefly in the Scarlet and Grade episode, they are starting a true freshman. Incredibly big, incredibly talented true freshman at left tackle, but they're still starting a true freshman at left tackle, which is not typically a smart idea. And it definitely didn't look like a smart idea against Texas. He got bullied. But yeah, this is, and I want to say this because we're going to hype up Texas, and we should hype up Texas. That was an amazing win. Great job, Texas. This is one of the more I'm going to try that again, Kyle. Am I going to cut that out? No, I'm not. Too lazy, but I am going to try it again. that is one of the more talent deficient Alabama teams we've seen in a very long time. They are incredibly young on the offensive line, talented but young. They don't have a quarterback. Devin Brown would be starting for Alabama right now. Okay, Devin Brown would start for Alabama right now. They might try to poach him next season. They might. They're not. They don't have a typical Alabama running back. They're still very talented on the defensive side. I think they still have some great talent on the defensive side, but on the offensive side, they don't look like Bama. And it's not just the quarterback and it's not just the offensive line, although, and then that's what a lot of people are going to focus on, especially after that Texas game. But
5 sacks in that game for Texas.
Yeah. I mean, even like the center kept snapping the ball low all night and had I think he had 1 or 2 illegal snaps where he was snapping the ball too early. So the center struggled. So I know a lot of people, again, like a lot of Ohio State fans, are going to throw a lot of the offensive line blame on Josh Simmons. I know a lot of Bama fans are going to be throwing a lot of the blame directly onto Caden Proctor, but those are full offensive line struggles for both Ohio State and Alabama right now.
Yeah.
And it all starts up front. You want to watch a program like Alabama crumble? Give them a lackluster offensive line. It's all it takes. It's all it takes.
3.1 yards per rush attempt for Alabama. I mean, Texas wasn't any better. They were 2.8, but the difference was the quarterback play.
Yeah, the difference is someone has Quinn Ewers and a better offensive line.
Yeah. Quinn Ewers did not get sacked at all. He threw for 349 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Ewers is so good in the pocket. Ewers navigates the pocket like an NFL quarterback. The way he climbs up in through the rush, the way he climbs up a pocket, he climbs the pocket like an NFL quarterback. He's, I'm not saying he's in total NFL quarterback at this time. He's not. He's still, he's still a 3rd-year guy who is the age of a 2nd-year guy. He still has flaws. He's not God. He's just a man, but he looks very, very good. He looks very, very good. And I know there's a lot of Ohio State fans because of the year he spent in Columbus and how he left, which I think are mostly stories that people make up as far as quote unquote how he left. But I cheer. And on the other side of that, I also don't. He was only in Columbus for a few months. I don't claim him the way I claim Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's a Buckeye and a Tiger to me. Quinn's a Longhorn, period. But I still cheer for him. I like him. I cheer for him. And I will up until the point that it becomes a disadvantage for Ohio State for me to cheer for him.
All right. Moving on to some other games here, Jared. Texas A&M loses to Miami of Florida. What was that game? 48-33. Or it was a home game. It was a home game to Miami, but it was majority Texas A&M fans.
No, it was majority empty.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just typical Miami stuff.
Yes. Yes.
Man, and ESPN does their best to like mic the crowd and make it not seem like that stadium's dead. But it's dead.
Come on.
ESPN goes into apology mode anytime they show the stands. It's weird. Neither of these teams are good. I'll just say this. Miami's not. I watch Bama in Texas, and yes, Bama's, as I said, Bama's very talent deficient. But when I say Bama's talent deficient, I mean, by Bama standards, they're talent deficient. All right. Much like when we do Scarlet and grade, you grade based off of a curve, right? Neither Texas A&M or Miami look good. Both of those teams should have plenty of talent on them. If we're looking at recruiting stars, there should be tons of talent on that field. But watching that game and watching the Alabama-Texas game were worlds different as far as like the quality of play on the field. So yeah, we count as a collegiate chaos. We say good win Miami, but it's not. These are just two mediocre teams with good brand names on the field, if we're being honest.
Yeah. The SEC, Jared, so far through 2 weeks versus Power 5 opponents are 3-6, and that includes 0-4 on the road.
Yikes! Who are the wins? You said 3-6.
3-6. Well, they got one here. Well, Tulane's not a power 5.
Okay.
I don't have. I do not have that in front of me here. I'll have to look it up.
Okay. Don't worry about it. If I remember correctly, I don't know if any of those wins are impressive for what it's worth.
I think Tennessee last week was Tennessee versus Virginia. I think was one. Not impressive though.
That wouldn't have been last week. That would have been 2 weeks ago. But no, whenever Virginia is not anything special, especially when Tennessee turned around and struggled bad against Austin Peay. Bad against Austin Peay. The Governors. The Volunteers versus the Governors.
Mississippi State over Arizona.
Is that the crown jewel?
That might be. Auburn beat Cal.
That's not better.
Hawaii's not a
they are
Power
not
5, so no.
Who did Auburn play? Didn't Auburn have a late game last night against someone?
Yeah, that's who it was last night. That was who it was over the weekend. It was Cal.
Oh. I misheard you.
Yeah, so that was 2, and then they had one last week, which I mentioned was the Tennessee-Virginia game.
Is Arizona
Mm-hmm.
the best out of conference win for the SEC right now?
Yes.
Whew.
I can turn that right around too. And like, what's the Big Ten's too? What is the Big Ten's best win?
Big Ten doesn't look great right now either. The only Big Ten team that actually like looks impressive at the moment is Michigan, but Michigan's playing nobody.
Yeah. Illinois didn't look good against Kansas this last week. Wisconsin.
Kansas is, by the way, not bad by Kansas standards this year.
Yeah, Wisconsin looked all sort of out of place against Washington State.
Yeah,
Nebraska just got embarrassed by Colorado.
Kyle, pause. It's a really nice way of saying Wisconsin lost to Washington State. Wisconsin lost to Washington State. They lost. I was being told that Luke Fickell was going to turn around Wisconsin in one offseason. And I kept telling everyone, no, Wisconsin's in much worse shape than that. I like Luke Fickell. I think Luke Fickell can fix Wisconsin, but Wisconsin's broken.
Yeah.
He wasn't going to fix it in one offseason. I kept trying to tell people. They wouldn't listen. Wisconsin's very, very broken right now.
Big Ten's best Power 5 conference win, Jared. Purdue over Virginia Tech. And then the next one is Rutgers over Temple.
Oh, glass houses, huh, man?
Yeah. Iowa over Iowa State.
Glass houses.
Yes. All right. Some other games here. So Tulane, number 24, Tulane lost to Ole Miss. Don't let the final score tell you otherwise. That was a close game up until just a few minutes left into the game.
Yeah. Ole Miss kicked a 56, I think, yard field goal to basically move the score to 10, which essentially ended the game. And then there was like a defensive touchdown on top of that. So as Kyle put inside, like, I want to say 2 minutes or maybe 4 minutes, it was a 7-point football game. So don't let the 17-point win distract you from reality.
Tulane kicked a field goal with 2:56 left to make it 20-27.
Yeah. And then Ole Miss turned around. What happened was Tulane then kicked an onside kick, which went out of bounds, and then they put up a decent defensive stance against Ole Miss, but because of the onside kick, obviously gave Ole Miss great field position. And apparently they have an NFL kicker on Ole Miss's team. Hey, Ohio State, we stole everything else from Ole Miss. Why didn't we steal their kicker too? Thanks for Iggy, by the way. Why? So they just nail a field goal from 56 yards out, and that ended the game essentially because it was.
Yes, it did.
A minute 25 at that point. Was it 56? I can't read it.
It was 56. Yep, 56.
Yeah. So yeah, it ends up looking like a 17-point game, but this was an onside kick away from Tulane tying the game potentially, or maybe going for 2.
And then we mentioned Wisconsin, number 19, Wisconsin losing to Washington State. So those are your 4 top 25 losses for the weekend.
Yeah, and Tulane doesn't count as a collegiate chaos. I will be counting the rest of them. So chaos reaping 3 souls this weekend. North Carolina got out by the skin of their teeth. Appy State almost took them down.
Mm-hmm.
That's again, right? Didn't they? Was that?
They did. They did a few years ago. I forget how long ago it was, but yeah. They did. They have. Mentioned Iowa barely beating Iowa State.
Now that it's breaking up, Pac-12 is the best it's been in years. Crazy. Yeah, the Pac-12 looks like a dominant football conference right now. Although it's being led by USC, which is, of course, one last hurrah.
Yeah. Speaking of one last hurrah, Utah barely beats Baylor 20-13. They very struggling pretty bad without their star quarterback here.
Yeah, they beat Florida.
They did
without their star quarterback.
But
would that be the Pac-12's best out of conference win, or would beating Wisconsin, Washington State beating Wisconsin? Both of these are better than anything the SEC or the Big Ten have.
It's true. Or was it? Yeah, it was 13-6 going into the fourth quarter, and then Utah gets 2 touchdowns, including the game-winning one with 17 seconds left in the game.
Yep. Coach Prime making Colorado at least interesting. We'll see how that continues to shake out during the course of the year. Prime is talking a lot of shit. which is fun when he's winning. We'll see how that goes. College football is tough, man. College football is tough. I don't know how smart it is.
The Pac-12's best win was Colorado over TCU.
TCU's not good. I don't care. I don't care where TCU lost all of their talent last year. I don't care where they were ranked in the preseason. I honestly don't care. There's not a good TCU team. It will continue to not be a good TCU team. They got devastated by the NFL, or a graduation at the very least. Absolutely devastated. And TCU does not recruit at a level that they can just plug in a bunch of new guys. This was always going to be a bad year for TCU.
Some other scores
TCU
here.
defense was horrible last year as well. You're not wrong, Woody.
I think you briefly mentioned Oregon barely beat out Texas Tech. Score here was 38-30. It was
not a great showing for Oregon. Or is Texas Tech maybe decent? I don't know. We'll see. It's too early to watch.
Bo Nix is fun to watch, though.
He's got big Penix energy.
He does.
Those two transfer quarterbacks up in the Pac Northwest share a lot in common.
Texas Tech was up 30-28 with 5 minutes left in the game.
They sure were.
Yep. The other interesting game I saw here that I posted was Oklahoma and SMU, 28-11.
Yeah. I don't buy Oklahoma. I'm not buying Oklahoma. It's one of the reasons why I'm very high on Texas at the moment. Texas has at least a very good defensive line. At the very least, they have that. They have a good offensive line. They have Quinn Ewers. And I just don't know what Oklahoma has. I don't know what Oklahoma's identity is even right now. They absolutely destroyed Arkansas State last week and then turned around and struggled bad against a very, very bad SMU team.
Any of these other games worth talking about here, Jared? Penn State
Cincinnati
took care of business.
Pittsburgh.
Georgia took care of business. Michigan took care of business. Cincinnati 27 over Pittsburgh 21. Emory Jones looked okay in this game. He had a pair of touchdowns in this game here.
Every time, and it's happened a lot, Kyle, every time that I learn, and this is like the 40th time I've learned this, every time I learn that Emory Jones is in Cincinnati, I'm surprised. That fact just never sticks in my head for whatever reason.
Yeah, well,
it never holds on.
Yeah, but yeah, it was a good win for the Bearcats. Yeah, absolutely here. It doesn't get any easier now that they're in the Big 12 here. Well, they do play Miami of Ohio this weekend, and then they do have at home. They get to welcome in their first Big 12 opponent in Oklahoma.
Old Big East rivalry. No. Pittsburgh had left for the ACC before Cincinnati joined the Big East, unless you're talking about a different game. Cincinnati was barely in the Big East before it folded. Cincinnati's a bit of a curse, if we're being honest. They join a conference and it folds. Which is better than being Texas, because same as UCF, yeah. Which is better than being Texas, because Texas has single-handedly destroyed two conferences all by themselves. Like, it wasn't just a funny causality or excuse me, a funny correlation thing. They're just responsible for the death of two conferences. And yes, the Big 12's dead. It might be on life support at the moment, but this will all shake out. I'm going to say by 2032, there's just going to be two conferences. Yep. I'm putting 2032 is the date on that. There will just be two conferences.
Hey, Jared, anything else from any other games that you saw that was interesting, wanted to talk about? Because next week's not good. Next week's not a good week.
No, the schedule's pretty sparse next week.
Yeah. I'm just looking at some games here. Like, what are the interesting games? What would be a fun game to watch? Oh, watch Northwestern and Duke, Jared.
I don't.
Virginia Tech and Rutgers.
You know what's funny is that like Duke and Northwestern. Duke and Northwestern, like that was such a math decathlon. More of a journalism decathlon. No, that's Vanderbilt, right? Isn't that when Northwestern plays Vanderbilt? Because those are like two of the biggest. I want to say journalism. What Duke is very. Kyle, you live there. Duke is very like science and engineering. Isn't that their big, either a science or applied science?
Science, medical.
What we really need is Purdue versus Duke. I think is the ideal matchup there.
Let's see, Washington and Sparty. We're not going to talk about Sparty because we don't have enough time here, but Washington and Sparty.
Keep it in your pants, kids.
Tennessee and Florida play this weekend here.
Tennessee and Florida, man, there were some people. No, the phone sex is allowed. Bulldoggy. Phone sex is allowed. Just, consent. Consent, everybody. What is it with old men not understanding what consent means?
I don't know, but we will not cover that, Jared, because we're about out of time here. So, but yeah,
Kyle, why do all the
no
sex
other games?
Why do all the sex scandals happen in the Big Ten, Kyle?
I had that exact thought this morning, and I'm like,
you want to talk about glass houses?
Yeah.
But this is two now for Michigan State. This is now a double dip sex scandal for Michigan State. This one significantly not as bad as the first.
Yeah,
significantly not as bad as the first.
Yeah, the Big Ten. The Big Ten is. Yeah, the Big Ten is not. Yeah, not a good look for the Big Ten here. Not a good look.
They don't all happen in the Big Ten. In the SEC, they just go unreported. I mean, that's not a thing you can just say.
Yeah.
If you have numbers, if you have examples, I will look at them. But that's not a thing you can just say, especially when it comes to serious shit. Because whether it be the Ohio State wrestling doctor or the Penn State defensive coordinator or the Michigan State gymnastics doctor, those were also unreported for a very long time. Those were also unreported for a very, very long time. Those were all swept under the rug and kept a secret for a very, very long time. So it's not like everything's open air and reported and taken care of in the Big Ten and not in the and it's everything gets swept away in the SEC. Those things were also swept away in the Big Ten. It's just that eventually someone looks under the rugs.
Anything else, Jared? Anything else?
No. I'll ask this, and this is for everybody. This is for everybody. Thoughts on Colorado? Thoughts on Coach Prime? Are we taking this seriously? Does this feel like, Nebraska's not very good? They got a new head coach. TCU lost all their talent. Does this feel like next Alabama coach? Here's the thing. No. I'll tell you who Coach Prime is perfect for. Colorado. No, because Saban is going to be there for 10 more years, remember? Yeah, I know you think that. I also know that it's not true. Who Coach Prime is perfect for is a university without an identity. I'm not a university, a football program. Well, without an identity, who's struggling to be noticed in the modern football landscape, a team that's just sort of lost and is getting no attention. And because they get no attention, they get no recruits. Not Alabama. Yep. It's a team who's not just struggling, but is also struggling from a brand perspective. That's who Coach Prime is needed for.
But to answer your question here, yeah, it raises an eyebrow for me. But like, okay, let's see if they can continue this train. Shouldn't have much issues with Colorado State this weekend. But then that's all going to change there because they got back-to-back weeks against Oregon and USC. Then we will find out who this Colorado team really is.
Looking for a scandal being brought forth against Dumbo Fisker. I mean, he's got a huge buyout, so a scandal might be they might need to find something. An interesting story because he basically started from scratch and have a functional offense and defense. That's not easy to do. The problem is that he stole a bunch of kids' scholarships in order to do that. Coach Prime forced a bunch of dudes into the transfer portal late into the process, making it hard for them to find new places, leaving them without scholarships, leaving them without the education that they earned. And my fear is that if Coach Prime does this and he is successful, then he's going to lay out a map for a bunch of other coaches to go in there and do the same thing. And it's not going to work for those other coaches because they aren't Deion Sanders. They don't have that swagger, that cachet, that Deion Sanders has that just attracts attention and attracts players to him. So you're going to have these other coaches. They're going to try and replicate that. They're going to cut a bunch of the kids. They're all going to get lost in the transfer portal. And then they're going to turn around and not be able to just bring in a bunch of great talent because they aren't Deion Sanders. Yeah, that part was pretty shitty. You don't bring in 80 new players without getting rid of 80 old players. Whatever the number is. I think it's like 60, 65. I don't think it's 80, but you catch my drift. I think that's my biggest fear is that already there are coaches looking at what's happening in Colorado right now and just assuming that they can do the same thing. And a bunch of kids are going to lose their scholarships along the way until coaches realize that because they aren't Deion Sanders, that they can't replicate it. Mm-hmm. And it's just going to, like I said, cost a lot of kids scholarships that they earned. And it's the part of college football that's becoming more common that I hate. That and Mel Tucker. Kyle, do you have anything in Kyle's corner?
This was Ohio State with, I should have swapped what I said before to this one here, but going back to Ohio State here, the interception from Denzel Burke was the first from a cornerback at Ohio State since October 30th of 21 against Penn State.
That's a drought.
That was a big drought.
Not as big as some droughts, though, Kyle.
And with that, we're moving on.
Low blow. Kyle, for anyone who's new here, Kyle is desperate for Ohio State to break the punt return drought, which is very old at this point. All right. That's it. That's the end of today's show. Everyone come join the Discord server. We have the new Sloop Economy bot, which is fun. You can earn coins simply by existing, and they're all fake coins. Just so we're all on the same page here. There's no actual financial anything involved here. All right, there's the coins are fake. But the coins are real to us, damn it. You can earn coins in the Discord server simply by talking and reacting and interacting with people in the Discord server, by sharing links, by talking to people, replying to people. There's a roulette machine. I didn't know that one was coming. That one was a surprise to me, but there's a roulette machine where you can gamble those. And also we do a lot of sports wagers in the wagers channel of the Discord server. So you earn the coins by existing in the Discord server. And then you can gamble them. There's a store coming too. You'll be able to, quote unquote, buy stuff. Again, they're not real items and it's not real money, but you'll be able to buy stuff. That's a thing that's coming along, as well. And everyone's having a lot of fun with it. We're getting all the joys of sports gambling, without any of the, oh my God, how am I going to pay the mortgage this year? So it's a really fun trade-off. It's like sports gambling, but it's just for bragging rights. So, everyone still pays their mortgage at the end of the day. Makes the social screens even more fun. Yeah, that's true. Because when I know there's a social screen I'll start throwing in prop bets for the social screen game. Social screen, by the way, every weekend we pick a time slot. This week we all got together in the Discord server and we watched Alabama and Texas. So a bunch of us from the Discord server just watched the game together right there in the Discord server. Is that legal? Probably not. Fuck it. It's all good until it's not. But yeah, that's we have a lot of fun in the Discord server. You can come join our Discord server, discord.thesloopcast.com. You do get access to more stuff in the Discord server. If you are a Patreon supporter, patreon.thesloopcast.com. But the server is free. It's totally free. Not totally free. There are exclusive channels, but it's like 90% free. You can, for example, watch games with us for free. But if you're a Patreon person, then you have voice privileges during the social screen. But everyone can watch. Everyone can watch along and listen along as we talk and whatnot. But and the economy bot with the pretend sports gambling is also just free. There's a chat channel and a recruiting channel that's behind the paywall, and that's mostly it, if I'm being honest. So yeah, come join our Discord server, discord.thesloopcast.com. Kyle, I already asked you for Kyle's Corner. We already did that. Tonight's ending music will be Parade Rainer. They are a punk band out of Columbus, Ohio. So with all that being said, I'd like to encourage everyone to drink local beer, listen to local music, and of course, support your local podcasters. Once again, this is Parade Rainer.